the networks have figured out, or the content owners, let me say, the long-form content owners have figured out that there is an audience out there that can't, for whatever personal schedule reason, can't watch that show live, and they'll watch it on a time-delayed basis online. They are willing to accept ads, and the ad loads that are running on the long-form content now are approaching 15%, some cases higher than that, online, where the TV ad load today is running at about 23%. So they're monetizing that content with an incremental audience that can't see TV live. They are getting CPMs that in many cases are higher than what they're getting live. So I computed it for Big Bang Theory, where the average CPM is about $20. And it's not unusual to see higher CPMs than that with the ads that are running on the long form content online. Then you've got the short form content video online, where the ad loads are way lower. They're only running at about 5%. And I think there you still got some concern on the part of the advertisers as to the safety issues of running their ads on that short form content. I would imagine that ad load will rise, but I'd be surprised if it gets to the levels that we're seeing on long form.
John, now you guys have you've compared the relative impact of digital video versus display, and you've come up with some big numbers. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So we've done hundreds, as you can imagine, hundreds of studies of the effectiveness of different campaigns. And when we look at the typical or average effectiveness of video compared to display, you can see that you need about 3 times as many display impressions to get to the same lift in impact that you get with video. And that's true for what we call action lift, where you want to drive some behavioral change, right? Whether it's you want to drive the viewer to a website, or you want to drive buying, that could be buying online or offline, video performs better. It also performs better on the branding metrics, like purchase intent, recall, likability, and so forth. So there, again, it's 3 times as effective as display. And then another interesting thing is that what we call the half-life of the impact, so how long does that impact stay there, is about twice as high for video as it is with display. So you run a video ad and you'll get the impacts lasting twice as long as it does for display. So along pretty much all the dimensions, video performs better. It costs more, typically, so that's another trade-off. And I think that one of the reasons why they work better than display, a couple of things we hypothesize. One is you got a lot more clutter, and it's difficult to notice a display ad more so than a video ad. And the other issue is probably viewability, right? Because we're measuring now that on average about a half of these display ads are not in view, and if it's not in view, it's not going to have any impact. So I think that all leads to more impressions being needed for display campaigns than you need for video.
And finally, the bigger picture that everyone's talking about, mobile, the year of mobile. It is the year of mobile. Maybe we're in mobile. The question about the impact of mobile versus the viewing online through the desktop, where that balance is, how brands are prepared to deal with this mobile world, and kind of where things are going.
Yeah. So I'd say we're in the 4th year of mobile, because if you go back 3.5 years ago or so is really when the smartphone started taking off. And there are some really pretty amazing stats. In my opinion, mobile is the biggest change agent that we've seen, maybe since the introduction of the creation of the internet. So in the past 3 years, here's the stat, in the past 3 years, the total time spent on the internet has doubled, driven by the phone, second by tablets. But what's really interesting, and I think the media often gets this wrong, if you look at the time spent on the desktop, in absolute terms, it's not gone down. Its share has dropped, but there's no evidence that the time spent on desktop has declined. But it's not a zero-sum game. Basically, the more devices somebody has, the more time they'll spend online, which I think is pretty good news for the advertising industry.